Good morning, First Baptist Church. This morning, I have an announcement about our Sunday morning worship services and some helpful information along with an exhortation and some encouragement. First, I want to let you know of some plans for how those worship services are going to look for the foreseeable future. When you come in on Sunday morning for the 10:30 a.m. worship service, we're going to be back in the Family Life Center, and the reason for this change is fairly simple. From the beginning of this pandemic, we have, as a church, positioned ourselves to follow the lead of those governing officials whom God has placed over us in accordance with the scriptural mandate found in Romans chapter 13. And when governing officials ask us to do something that is both reasonable and does not force us to violate other scriptural principles, whether forced or not, we should give honor to those the Lord has raised up for this purpose. And so for several months now, the CDC has recommended wearing face coverings in public places or in larger group gatherings. And then 3 weeks ago, the governor of Indiana also made this a mandate. The mandate does provide an exemption for churches on the condition that 6-foot distancing can be maintained between members of different households. And so a few weeks ago, it became apparent that with the 80-ish plus attendees that we had in the sanctuary, this distancing was not going to be possible in that room. And so we asked you to wear a mask at all times during those worship services. Moving back into the Life Center gives us the ability to allow the option to remove those face coverings when we're at our seats. So we are reverting back to our previous request on face coverings. We would ask that you wear one anytime you're not in your seat, whether you're standing or sitting. As long as you're in your seat area, you can take those off. The only additional change with this request involves some counsel from our local health department. A wide range of studies over the past few months has shown that the virus has a greater ability to spread beyond that 6-foot range when we're singing. And so I asked, what did that mean for us as a church? And the request was pretty straightforward. They would ask that we just wear a mask when we're singing to prevent this further spread of those respiratory droplets. Again, this is simply a request. We will not be calling the police on anyone. We're not going to trespass you from the property. We're not going to ask you to leave. However, that being said, I would like us as a Christian body to consider 3 things as it regards wearing face masks while we're singing. The first thing I would like to consider is the previous appeal to Romans chapter 13. Our local health department belongs in that category of authorities, and as such is due that same honor that Paul calls for in that passage. And I think it's a mark of wisdom that we subject ourselves to reasonable requests of those that God has placed over us. The second consideration, I would like us to consider Paul's words in Philippians chapter 2, verses 3 and 4, where he says, "Do nothing from selfish ambition or conceit, but in humility consider others more important than yourselves. Let each of you look not only to his own interests, but also to the interests of others." And so this is an opportunity for the body of Christ to demonstrate this principle, that we would take less consideration for our own comfort and desires than we do for the needs, the safety, and the comfort of others. Jesus told his disciples that the world will know us by the love that we have for each other. And the simple act of wearing a mask to protect others from catching something that we may not even know that we have is an act of love. And the third thing is, as the shepherd of this flock, I am ultimately responsible both for the spiritual and, when we are gathered here, the physical safety of those who gather. And so while I would certainly say that the decision to wear a mask or not is up to each individual on a Sunday morning, I would ask that you do so, if for no other reason than to help your shepherd do the best job that he can to protect this flock. And so along those lines, I'd like to take the opportunity to remind you that this week we will be having a communion service on Sunday morning. We didn't do one last week, even though that was the first week of the month, because this week we're actually going to be touching on that subject during the sermon. And so we decided that it would be fitting to move that service to this week for this month. And so if you're going to be here, it's going to look a little bit different than the process has been the last couple of months. You'll still get one of those all-in-one deals with the wafer on the top and then the cup underneath. However, this time the deacons will be serving you. Instead of passing the plates, however, a deacon will serve you directly, negating the need for everyone touching those communion plates. They'll just hand you your cup at your seat. And so the deacons will be wearing masks and gloves for your safety during that time. For those at home, please be sure to have those elements ready to join us for this special service. And for those in Sunday schools, Joe's class is going to be meeting in the sanctuary. So we're just flip-flopping for the time being. And I believe that Tammy's class is going to be meeting in the church basement in the main building. If you have any questions about those, please contact those teachers with those questions. And as always, I'm praying for you. I'm praying for our church. I'm praying for our community. And I can't wait to see you all on Sunday. It's going to be great. I can't wait to see all the faces that we haven't seen before or haven't seen in a while. Blessings on you, and we'll see you Sunday.